What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show. We need to jump into some of the biggest key position battles that Philadelphia is going to have to figure out during training camp because it's going to get hot, it's going to get competitive, and there are actually some really wide open positions that could be starter positions for Philadelphia come training camp seasons. Let's go from 5 to 1, the least important position battle, still a battle though, up to the most important position battle, and one that I think a lot of you guys are going to recognize, starting with number 5, the punter battle. Now, I know it's the punter battle. Punters are people too. It's not the most important position battle in the entire Eagle overall depth chart, but this is going to matter. Aaron Siposs was not very good last year, and Brett Curtin was even worse whenever he filled in, especially in the postseason. Now you have Ty Zentner, who really, he looks pretty darn solid, at least from what we've seen so far in rookie minicamp. I mean, he had a punt that you've seen where it goes like 80 yards at the NovaCare complex, but I mean, come on, anyone can do that if you're a serious pro-type punter in the National Football League once. Can you do it multiple times and actually in big game situations? That's the real question for Zentner. But don't get me wrong here. This is not going to determine whether the Eagles win a Super Bowl or not, but it will determine field position, will determine how backed up opposing teams are. Can these pass rushers for Philadelphia go on attack mode? I'm very curious to see who wins this. It will be a wide open punter battle between Aaron Siposs and Ty Zentner. Now, another big battle going into training camp. Again, it's not going to matter for the Super Bowl, but is going to be very interesting to watch, especially during the preseason, because backup quarterback and backup quarterbacks are going to play a bunch during those preseason games, and you don't know who your quarterback 3 is. They drafted a quarterback this year in Tanner McKee, and when you went into the draft with less than 6 draft picks, you really thought they weren't going to draft anybody just because they were going to spend it on other positions. Howie did Howie things, and he made a bunch of moves and brought in Tanner McKee to go ahead and compete against Ian Book. They're kind of similar, although McKee I think kind of got a rough start at Stanford, or a rough finish is a better word, at Stanford, basically due to the fact that he had a terrible offensive line. The Eagles think he's way more athletic than his frame shows, and he's a lot better than his tape shows, and he's going to be in a very, I'd say, lucrative spot here to learn behind one of the better offenses in the National Football League, to get to throw footballs to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in practice, watch Jalen Hurts work, and possibly beat out Ian Book. The loser here is going to go to a different roster. The winner is going to be your quarterback 3 or your practice squad quarterback for basically the remainder of the year, barring an injury, and have 3 plays away, essentially, or 2 plays away from being the starting quarterback of the Eagles, with Jalen Hurts 1, Marcus Mariota 2, and then obviously getting into whoever is going to be 3. My head says McKee here, but Ian Book does have a year in the system, and that's going to definitely help, as rookie quarterbacks tend to take a little bit longer to figure things out than you would expect. Do you have a pick, though, on punter or backup quarterback? We went 5 to 4. Again, these are not the most important ones. We're working our way up there, but 2 more backup battles that are going to be very interesting. All right, let's move over here to a starting battle, and this is the slot wide receiver battle. This is wide receiver 3 right now for Philadelphia, as you see Quez Watkins versus Olamide Zaccheaus. Now, this is seemingly what you're going to have in terms of your wide receiver 3 battle, because Watkins is very familiar in this offense, and Zaccheaus has legit snaps as a wide receiver 2, or really 3, with the Atlanta Falcons over the course of his career. Although we can't really leave out the other players who are going to have a chance here. I mean, Jaden Hasselwood obviously is on this depth chart. Charleston Rambo was signed from the XFL, both former wide receivers who played with Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. So it's not like we're going to keep it to just Quez Watkins and Olamide Zaccheaus, but it does feel like these 2 are going to be the ones battling it out. Now, what's the situation in terms of wide receiver 3 for Philadelphia? Well, you got to play the slot, which Watkins doesn't do a lot, and they can move A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith around, but I think I lean towards Zaccheaus in this battle because he's played a lot more slot than Watkins has. But really, you're going to be targeted probably 50 times this year. You got to catch at least 35 of them, or really 30 of them, and you got to make a couple of plays, right? The ultimate stat line for a wide receiver 3 in this offense, when you're still trying to take snaps away from Brown and Goddard and Devontae Smith, is 30 catches, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Just don't drop the big ones, and that's been my biggest gripe with Quez Watkins. Now, I'm all about the Quez Watkins revenge tour. He talked about that on his Twitter account, but I am leaning towards Olamide Zaccheaus here. You notice the incumbents, Zentner the punter, or sorry, not the incumbents, the guys coming in who are new. Zentner is new, McKee is new, Olamide Zaccheaus is new. I think the 3 of those have really good chances to win all 3 of these battles that we talked about so far here on the show. Who would you guys rather have as your wide receiver 3 right now? Now, again, practice reps are going to be massive in this. Wide receiver, playing time in preseason is going to be huge here. Do you have a pick, though, Zaccheaus versus Watkins? Give me your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right, let's get to some real serious battles here, and this is really the one that's going to, I think, be the biggest of the entire group, besides number 1, hence why it's 2. That's your safety battle here. Really, it's Terrell Edmunds versus Reed Blankenship versus Sidney Brown. Now, again, much like with the wide receiver 3 spot, there are other players who are trying to go ahead and win this battle. You can't can't forget about, Justin Evans, or you can't forget about, Kayvon Wallace, or maybe if they want to move Keely Ringo over there to the safety spot. But really, these are the three big battles to watch out for, the three players to watch out for the safety battle. Now, the good news is 2 of the 3 win. And the question is, does Reed Blankenship capitalize on what he did this past season? To me, Reed Blankenship's the dark horse here. Everyone says Sidney Brown this and Sidney Brown that. He's still a rookie. It's still going to take time. I feel like Edmonds and Blankenship would be your starters if they were going to play a game today, but it all depends on how well Blankenship and Sidney Brown play going into training camp. And listen, Reed Blankenship was fantastic last year. He was really, 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 really good for being an undrafted free agent guy who was thrust in there, in the Green Bay Packer game and instantly got an interception. One of the first undrafted free agent guys to pick off Aaron Rodgers in his entire career. Edmonds is the biggest of the group. I think he has the best chance to start here just based off of being a veteran, drafted in 2018. He has 75 career starts. They kind of want somebody older back there, but they're not going to start Edmonds just because he's older. They're going to start him because he's better than the 2 of these players, and Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown, and that will kind of remain to be seen. I would guess, again, Edmonds, Blankenship, week 1. By the end of the season, Sidney Brown's getting a bunch of playtime. Is that fair? I know we're all Sidney Brown fans, but I really feel like that would be the ultimate pickup and the ultimate move there for the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of the safety spot. Now, before we get to number 1, honorable mention is going to be linebacker, although I will argue I do think the linebacker group right now is very much set with Morrow and Dean as your 2 starters, but you do have backups here as we look at the depth chart. Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor, these are guys who really could make some moves and make some waves if Morrow or Dean were to struggle. Now, again, I think Morrow's their guy. I think Dean is their guy. I would not be surprised if both of them are the starters week 1, but it's an honorable mention linebacker in terms of actual starting spots that are technically up for grabs as we get going into training camp. Now, number 1, drum roll please. Any shocker here? Right guard, Cam Jurgens versus Tyler Steen. And this has been talked about ad nauseum all offseason long. You guys know I went into the offseason saying Cam Jurgens would win this, and I remain confident that Cam Jurgens will win this. However, Tyler Steen is big, Tyler Steen is physical, and Tyler Steen looked good at rookie OTAs. So who knows? Again, once you get into training camp, once we see Steen versus, pick your poison on the defensive line, Jordan Davis and Milton Williams and Fletcher Cox and all those guys on the interior, and then Cam Jurgens against them as well, that will give us a better overall look here. But I give the edge to Jurgens because he has a year in the system. Again, the SEC is the closest thing to the National Football League that there is out there. It's still college football, and it's still not the National Football League. I think Jurgens right now would be your day 1 starter, but just like Sidney Brown, if Steen starts to play well, they will sit Cam Jurgens and let him continue to redshirt another year, essentially, and get him ready to play center behind Jason Kelce. Plus, you'd have the ability to keep him at center and not have to kind of move him around, which to me is not a big deal like some people are making it online, but overall, I think Jurgens is going to be your starter, and then Steen will go ahead and swap over there as well. What do you guys think? How's my list here? Did I miss somebody? Did I get somebody wrong? Is there someone you think will start over somebody else? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. There are plenty of backup battles out there. I think a backup cornerback, I think backup tight end, I think running back situation, but I think these are the top 5 biggest battles going into training camp for Philadelphia, and I'm curious to see where you guys are at on that. All right, plenty more stuff happening next couple of days and weeks. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.